the new headset, the new virtual reality headset, mixed reality headset, Meta has released into the market. Quest 3S. We are at Victory XR extremely excited about this headset. We believe Meta has finally released the perfect headset for our customers, people who work in education or corporate training. And so we want to walk you through this headset. It's a really big deal. And then we're going to touch on a few other things. I've got two guests that are joining me today. I'm very excited that Meta has provided us with really one of the preeminent folks that I look to at Meta when I want to know what's really going on. But from Meta, Carlos Figarella. Now, Carlos is no amateur. Carlos and I have been working together in the virtual reality and education space for a long time. So Carlos has a pathway through this whole space. He started, to my knowledge, at HTC Vive. I mean, he probably had an origin story before then, and did some great work with HTC Vive, and then moved on to a company I'll let him tell you about, and then finally is now at Meta for the last couple of years and growing their footprint across the United States. And so I'm really excited about that. So Carlos, thank you for joining us. Danny Coyle is our Victory XR lead developer. And Danny, with Victory XR, he was our very first developer hire many, many years ago. I think 7 years ago. And he was a graduate of the Ohio State University. We will forgive him for. But much of many of you or most of you perhaps have walked through a Victory XR product. And when you stroll through those products, much of that has been developed either by Danny personally or with his leadership. So he plays a big role. And when I really want to understand something about a headset and its impact, I always ask Danny because he's got a good sense. And here's, I can recall interviewing Danny, and here was the key moment that I hired him. And I'm only going on because I think you'll find this interesting and helpful as you listen to what he has to say. I always ask people, what was your main thing that you did in high school? Because it's always a very telling answer. And Danny, coder or developer, which I was looking for, answered that he was a thespian in the drama club. And I had never met a coder who was a thespian before. And so I liked that. And so Danny understands how to build sets and big, visually interesting experiences in virtual reality. So I'm going to start by sharing a few slides, and I'll be stopping through these slides to ask Danny and Carlos to provide some extra color on those. So I'm going to just go ahead and share my slides right now. All right, and oops, nope. Slideshow. All right, everybody should be able to see this now. All right, so I know we have people still joining us, but we are at 5 minutes after the hour, so time to hit the slide. So today's webinar is on the Meta Quest 3S and learning. So most of you know this, or you may or may not know this, but the Quest 1, it says 2019 because that's the first untethered headset. But those of us that have been doing this for a while, the Oculus Rift, which was tethered to a graphics computer, came out in 2016. And then in 2019, the Quest 1 came out. And in fact, we still have a program, if you know anybody in prisons and halfway houses, where we provide global tours. And this is a gift from Meta to people that are in prisons that are going through a career and technical education program. So get in touch with us for that. In 2020, very quickly after the first one, came out the Quest 2. And the Quest 2 has really defined immersive learning and virtual reality. And Danny has one of those. In a few minutes, I'm going to put on my 3S. But the beauty of the Quest 2 was that it was really just a great device. It had black and white grainy pass-through, so you could see the room around you, but it really wasn't good for much more than really impactful virtual reality. And then in 23 came the Meta Quest 3, and this was really just the piece de resistance of virtual reality headsets. It was untethered, it was lighter weight, and mostly it had full color pass-through so that we could have mixed reality, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. The importance of virtual reality and mixed reality, and we'll visit more about that. But now we have advanced to this beautiful, beautiful device. Oh, that's the 3. I thought I had a picture of the 3S. That's the 3. Oh, so my mistake there. The 3S is so new that I don't have a lot of images of it. But
Steve, I got you right here. Look on
screen.
You know.
Let me switch. Let me stop sharing for a minute and go to Carlos here. And I was actually going to put mine on and present part of this headset, but you'll notice the 3 cameras or the 3 they're not all cameras, but sensors. Thank you, Carlos. That's why we got the guy from Meta here. You'll notice there's 3 on each side, and that adds a lot to the headset. But we're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to go back to sharing because I want to show you something that is very important here, which is the chipset we're going to talk about here in just a minute.
While you pull that up, we'll just say that, you know, over the last 8 to 10 years, this technology has evolved significantly and drastically. And where we're at today is just a fraction of where we were, you know, of where we started is a fraction of where we are today.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm not presenting here for a minute. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding my slides. So share, there we go. Okay. So you'll notice in the center, you see the Snapdragon chip. That's really important. And that's really the big step forward for the 3 and the 3S, because Qualcomm released this new graphics chip. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute. But that allowed this headset to do so much more than what was possible before. So let's talk a little bit about that. The Quest 3S uses the same chipset as the Quest 3. So the Quest 3 is the more expensive headset, and we're going to talk about why that is. But know that the power, the graphics power of the chipset is the same in both the 3 and the 3S. And so this is why, from our perspective, schools, universities, if they want to save a little bit of money, this is the headset to purchase because the chipset's the same. Now, what's the difference? Well, it's the difference in the visual display. So whereas the 3 has a 2064 by 2208 pixels per eye, and this dual display, the Quest 2 and the 3S have an 18 by 32 and 1920 per eye single display setup. So let me go one more slide down. The difference is in the difference is in the Fresnel versus pancake lenses. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Danny, would you talk a little bit? I mean, people can read what we have on the screen here.
Sure.
But the pancake lens is sort of a big deal, and that's available in the Quest 3 to
Correct.
save a little bit of money. Meta put the Fresnel lenses in the Quest 3S.
Yeah. So Fresnel lenses have been around since the early days of VR with the original Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive. They basically use a series of magnifying rings in order to clearly show the display. Fresnel lenses are really affordable but they have a small sweet spot. You have to have the headset in the exact perfect place in order for text to be nice and sharp and readable. Pancake lenses use a slightly different method to allow for a much wider sweet spot and have the edges of your vision, your peripheral vision, be just as sharp as the center. So they're more high fidelity lenses, and that's why it's slightly more expensive. But Fresnel lenses are tried and true. They've been around for a while, and they will continue to keep being around because they work. They work just fine. And Meta recognizes that there's still a place for Fresnel lenses in the industry.
Carlos, what would you like to add?
No, I think greatly summarized. I think if you look at Meta continues to provide accessibility in our products, right? And one of the ways that we are differentiating that is by having the 3 and the 3S in market. And ultimately accessibility matters when we're talking about education. And so that's why the Quest 3S is priced at such an affordable price point. If you're looking to do, depending on the exact content that you're exploring, the upgrade in fidelity may matter. But for the most common use cases and the way that this is being deployed in education, I think that the Fresnel lenses are the way to go.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me say something real quick, Danny. What I tell potential customers is if you are a medical school doing surgery, learning surgery, which a lot of medical schools do now, you are going to want to use the Quest 3. It's only a couple $100 more, maybe only $100 more, but that's what you're going to want to use because it just gives you higher fidelity to be able to see if you have a really fine suture that you have to make. That's the product you want. Or perhaps if you are in the corporate world and you have a simulator of a machine or an engine or something that has fine parts, that's another example where you would just pay the extra couple $100 for the Quest 3. But for most of learning, the Quest 3S, it's an extremely sharp, in my opinion, extremely sharp visual. It's just not going to give you the really fine detail. So you sort of have to look at where you're coming from. If you're a middle school or a high school, or for most cases in undergraduate work in higher education, or driving the forklift in the enterprise, the Quest 3S is going to be fine. Danny, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah. From my perspective as a developer, I love the prioritization of the Quest 3S because they chose to keep the horsepower consistent, which means that it's going to be able to render just as much as the Quest 3, only choosing to reduce the resolution of the display and using the Fresnel lenses from the Quest 2. So the fact that the horsepower is consistent is great for me as a developer, and I love that about it.
Here's something that I don't understand that maybe one of you can explain to me.
Mm-hmm.
In the description, it always talks about that the Quest 3 has like separate vision per eye, whereas the 2 and the 3S somehow work from a singular view. Am I misunderstanding that? What are they trying to communicate?
Carlos might be better at that one.
Yeah,
You probably don't.
I think it's mostly around the build, right? It's single panel versus dual panel.
Okay, and what does that mean? Do we know?
Yeah, it's just again, because of the way that the pancake lenses are designed, and the way that you have to shape the mold into such a small space in the headset, they're using 2 panels versus 1 single panel. And so you're getting much more higher fidelity out of that experience in the Quest 3 versus the Quest 3S. So it's really just the design and how it's built to then how the performance is correlated to the headset design.
Okay, all right. Well, I like that. And suddenly everybody on this call knows how lucky they are that they don't have to rely on me for knowledge. Let me share. I want to share this next slide because I think it's important. I'm going to ask both of you to help us walk through this. So I thought this came from Road to VR, our friends over there who just do great work. This is a chart that came from them. Quest 2, Quest 3S, and the Quest 3. So we talked about the display, 1 times LCD, 1 times LCD, 2 times LCD. So that we just covered that issue. And we covered the resolution per eye, which we know is higher in the Quest 3. Danny, do you have an understanding of the pixels per degree? That just leads to that sharpness because of that resolution.
Yeah, that is the literal pixel density of the displays. It's the ratio between the size of the display and how many pixels are pixels per inch, I guess you could also equate it to. And since the Quest 3 uses 2 separate displays instead of 1 that spans the width of the headset, then each of those displays has a higher pixel density. So that's what adds to the sharpness there.
So I'm not the best guy in the world at math, but my quick math tells me then that essentially you're going to get 25% more pixels than you would with the 3 than the 2 or the 3S. That's what I'm doing. Quick math. You can tell me if I'm right about that. So, okay, moving on. The refresh rate. I know that early on, I think the Quest 1 was like 90 hertz.
Yep.
And Danny, you've dealt a lot with developing with these refresh rates. Why does the refresh rate matter, and how do we feel about 120 hertz?
Yeah, so our platform VXR Labs, we intentionally cap it out at 72 hertz because we wanted to prioritize the higher end visuals and the multiplayer fidelity. But what that means is how many images per second are your eyes seeing? For typical flat screen video games, the standard is 30 and then 60. But for virtual reality, you need to have a higher refresh rate to reduce motion sickness, right? So the kind of the baseline is 72. A lot of headsets cap out at 90, but now Meta has kind of set the industry standard of headsets having a maximum of 120 frames per second or hertz, and ultimately what that's going to show is fast moving objects will appear far more smooth. If you look at the same image that's moving past you quickly, like a race car or something in virtual reality, and you're only seeing it at 72, you might see a little bit of blur. But at 120, it's gonna look closer to real life because you don't really see blur in that same way in real life, right?
And we build at 72 for multiplayer synchronous because if you go higher, it potentially crashes the chipset, or what's the problem?
Well, not so much crashes, but if we have to hit a higher frame rate, then that means that we can have fewer objects on screen, or we have to have lower resolution textures or things in order for that the Quest's chipset to be able to handle it. And we have multiplayer capabilities on top of that. So that's why we prioritize hitting a lower frame rate cap, but keeping it consistent. We could bump it up, but we might have stutter, and we don't like stutter.
Yeah, so that's the Goldilocks point.
Yeah.
Hey, Carlos, what do you want to add on this?
Yeah, just want to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get more deeper into our mixed reality technology, but with the higher refresh rate, it's important to have that as we're now using mixed reality and introducing that into the education environment. What that means is that the cameras are now passing through in video your surroundings, and so ultimately having a higher refresh rate will ensure that you're still having an optimal experience while things in your environment are moving, and then you're overlaying digital objects into your physical world.
Yeah, we are going to get probably next, I think. We'll see what's on the next slide. But yeah, mixed reality versus virtual reality will be a big part of this conversation, since that's really what the 3 and the 3S give us that the 2 did not. And I bet you most people on this call have the 2, because, you know, it takes time to upgrade. And we already talked about, you say Fresnel, Danny. I always said Fresnel. So that's probably like a French word. Fresnel versus pancake lenses.
Silent S, yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good. Like Des Moines. Let's talk about the field of view, which is also a pretty big deal. Carlos, you want to start this one off? Obviously, the 3 has a bigger field of view, but 96 by 90, I know, is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so really the field of view is, you know, I think as humans, we all have a 260-degree field of view. And so this just talks about when you're in the headset, how much of your, you know, of the view do you have? And that really equates to how real it feels. And so with the Quest 3S, we've been able to keep that same field of view from the Quest 2. If you look at, you know, Quest 2 and Quest 3S, there's a lot of similarities. And what we're just doing is just upgrading the chipset and the mixed reality capabilities. But then when you get to the Quest 3, you'll see that we do have a slightly higher field of view. And so that just enhances the immersion. It makes it feel much more real when you're in mixed reality. And ultimately it's about trying to make the content feel as real as possible, but you know, giving you the maximum capability of interacting and how much content can you fit into the display. So I think the Quest 3S has done a great job of it. Because of the pancake lenses on the Quest 3, you're seeing that increase in field of view.
Got it. And, you know, I can remember we did some work a few years back with the Microsoft HoloLens. Mm-hmm. And you know, that was an expensive headset, $3,500. And as I recall, it had like a 70-degree field of view. And that was a bit off-putting for me. And so, you know, having the minimum of what we have here in the 2 and the 3S is important. And I want to pause and just make sure, in case you joined us late, if you look at this chart as it stands here, you'd think, oh, there's no difference between the 2 and the 3S. But remember what we talked about earlier. It's that chipset. The difference between the chipset between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3S. Can you, Carlos or Danny, can you talk a little bit about what the Quest 2 has, and then what the Quest 3S and 3 have?
Happy to hop in here. So on the Quest 2, we started with the Snapdragon XR1 chipset. And so that was groundbreaking in terms of its performance, its capabilities, and the types of experiences that Victory XR can now deploy on a standalone device. With the Quest 3 and the 3S, we've now used the Snapdragon XR2 chip. And so that generation of chipset has, you know, increased its benchmarks in terms of its capability, the type of content, and the load management that the device can handle. And ultimately, that has been what has springed us into this new world of mixed reality. I'll pass it over.
Danny, you want to add anything on that?
No, I'm not really. The like I said before, the Quest 3S prioritized the best possible things in order to make it affordable, but still a big upgrade from the Quest 2. I think the metric is between like raw processing performance. I think the Quest 3 is about 30 to 50% more powerful than the Quest 2, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like the Quest 2 could already handle a lot, and the Quest 3 is so much more powerful just in terms of how many polygons it can render at once. And the fact that that's consistent with the 3S is so nice.
I should have had a slide on that. We're going to get to questions here shortly. I'm going to show you a video next. Now, I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's 5 minutes. We don't have enough time. But I'm going to show you a portion of this video because this is a really great place for us to understand the difference between virtual reality and mixed reality. So I'm going to start this. The Victory XR subscription is the world's most advanced platform for virtual reality and browser-based learning. In other words, 3D spatial learning comes to life with the help of AI.
Yes, I would be interested in that. Anything that can help me feel better.
The VXR subscription has 3 parts. The virtual reality platform known as VXR Lab. It's a broad-based platform including science, history, literature, CT. So I'm going to pause here. What you're seeing right here is the virtual reality component. So notice everything around you is graphically created. CSI and math. It also includes more than 150 global 360 field trips. Think of it as the Netflix of virtual reality learning. Something for everyone. So we made it to Montgomery, Alabama. Hardware, the Quest 3S headset is likely to be the best-selling headset ever for Meta due to its low price as well as its ability to use mixed reality. In true VR, students are completely immersed in a graphically created 3D world. But in mixed reality, they can see the classroom around them. So notice here, you can see everything around me when I had the headset on, but you can also see the graphically created experience at the same time. You're going to see more of this now. In addition to the augmented 3D lab, the Quest 3S does virtual reality and mixed reality very well. VXR Fusion is the second component of the Victory XR subscription. It is a mixed reality augmented experience that includes both a chemistry lab and an anatomy lab. While these labs are also available in virtual reality on VXR Labs, the ability to see a teacher and other students while conducting experiments provides a good use case for mixed reality. The combination of... All right, I'm going to pause there, come back. So I just wanted to be able to visually let you see. That's from one of our explainer videos on what we have at Victory XR. But this webinar is not designed to be a commercial. It's designed to explain the power and the value of the new Quest 3S headset. And so I want to talk a little bit about mixed reality and potential use cases. And the value that I see in it is that there are times when you don't want to be separated from the environment around you. So for example, perhaps you're doing a chemistry experiment and there's no reason that to use the chemistry lab that you have to be disconnected from everybody else. You can just place the chemistry lab in front of you and be able to see it and move in the rest of it. So, and you can see your teacher. If somebody's coming or going out of the classroom, you can see it. If somebody's coming behind you, another student, you don't want them to flick your head. You can see them. So, there's that type of value. But think about in the workplace. Maybe you're learning to work on a machine. And so you have this mixed reality tool that identifies the machine and tells you what to move, what's step 1, step 2, step 3. But you can still see the factory floor around you. So I just want to throw this out to Danny and Carlos. I think most people on here probably have a sense on what virtual reality is, but talk about use cases, Carlos, that you see for the mixed reality, maybe as you've been on the road or that type of thing.
Absolutely. I think, cutting edge mixed reality is really going to transform the classroom. And at Meta, our technologies have, that potential to, transform lesson plans, vocational training, and create new opportunities for lifelong learning. some of the use cases that I've seen for mixed reality in the classroom have been lab settings where you're looking at, you're doing experiments together or projects together. And I think that's super helpful because especially when you're interacting with digital objects in the same room, it feels immensely real. I think also that there's an opportunity for mixed reality in terms of distant learning. And if you're doing collaboration and having co-presence, it gives you a sense of more, it feels just more real. So I'd say that those two are applicable to either, K-12, higher ed, CTE, and really what we're going to start seeing in some of the use cases I'm starting to see is being able to, while you're looking at, let's take CTE training for an example, right? You're doing mechanical training on an engine and being able to tie in, different pieces of information, whether it's the PDF or a manual next to a specific object, that then you can then attach videos to understand how to, how to remove a part or how to do a specific, technique on that engine. Those are some of the use cases that I've been seeing recently.
Danny, I'm going to skip you on this question just because we're short on time. We have a lot of questions from people because I want to just give a little tease and whet the appetite of all of our friends on this webinar with the final slide. So this is the coolest thing in the world right now. This is called Orion, and these are the glasses that the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, where you have a built-in AI and you can talk to them. That's out on the market today, and that's a great product. I love my Meta Ray-Bans. But what Mark Zuckerberg debuted in I think the last week of September were the Orion glasses. And these Orion glasses, I have not had them on yet. I hear that partners are going to be able to start trying them on in January. But they actually wear like normal glasses, but they have a visual display in them as well. And they're the most advanced product in the world. And everybody that's had them on just says they see the end of the phone, that finally they've got a device that they'll be able to wear and everything will happen right in front of them. So, Carlos, I don't know what you can say and what you cannot say, but I just want to give you a chance to comment on, and these are probably, this isn't Carlos speaking, this is me. These are probably 2 years away, but it's exciting to know where it's going. Carlos?
Steve, I appreciate it. And I think that ultimately our goal is at Meta is to build a more connected, immersive world. And we think that we could do that by delivering true, fully augmented reality glasses. So the Orion project that you're showcasing here is something that has been under development for nearly a decade at Meta. We continue to push, the limits on what's capable, and some of the technology that is in this device is just, groundbreaking. And we're excited about that being kind of the future vision that we want to create for, for education, for enterprise, and for consumers. But I think that, ultimately what you're describing here is the North Star that we're going towards, right? Right now, we can deliver mixed reality at scale to the masses. And one day, and hopefully the distant but near future, we'll be able to deliver augmented reality at scale for both consumers and the commercial and education space.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to jump into some of the questions real quick that I'm reading in our chat. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Carlos, do you see any Quest 3 or 3S discounts for Black Friday?
Great question. We are always looking at ways of driving, adoption. And so I'm sure there will be some great opportunities to purchase a Quest 3S or 3 on Black Friday. I would say, definitely work with your existing authorized Meta resellers to be able to see what value they can provide.
Well, that was a good answer, Carlos. I can tell you this right now: if you buy, you get if you buy from a commercial retail outlet, not a reseller like us. But if you go to Best Buy, you get the Arkham Batman game, which is pretty awesome because I have it, and it's amazing. So you played it, Carlos?
I have, yes. And just one thing to also differentiate that, yes, you can buy our products at the consumer retailers or through commercial authorized resellers. The difference is that we did recently introduce a commercial SKU, which does now have a 3-year warranty. So for those that are deploying XR to the masses and you need a bit more assurance around your purchase, we are offering that in the commercial channel.
Yeah, and just so you know, that's what we sell is the product with the 3-year warranty, because schools and universities and workplaces just need a longer warranty, and it's not that much more for it. Quest 4, I think I can answer this one. There probably is one, Carlos. There will be something, but I have not heard anything at the current time. For now, it's the 3 and the 3S, and maybe eventually there'll be a 4, but I haven't heard even rumors about one.
What I can share is that we are heavily invested in continuing to push the boundaries in this space. We will continue to develop in our R&D labs. We'll continue to explore opportunities of making this more accessible and more cutting edge. But right now, we are very confident that our current product lineup is, the best options for education and the most accessible options for education.
Yeah, and David, next step for technology, the next big iteration, I think it will be the Orion glasses. But what you're going to see with the Quest, with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, while it's not virtual reality or mixed reality, you're getting a lot of AI technology built into these just standard glasses that you wear around. And, I wear mine all the time. They charge in the case. You can see here that it's got this little light on it. And this is really a great step forward in connected technology. And Meta is adding more functionality. Right now, I can have conversations, make phone calls, listen to my music, and the audio on these is the best of any, much better than the Apple AirPods, which I used previous to these. So let's talk a little bit about size. And Danny, I see you noticed. Somebody asked about the weight of the 3 versus the 3S. Danny, do you know, are they roughly the same?
Yeah, you can check all those. So I posted a link in chat to VRcompare.com, which is a fantastic resource. So it has all of the minute stat differences between the two. But yeah, see, so that's between that and the Quest 3. Let's also add the Quest 3S here. So let's see, the Quest 3S.
3S has lighter weight than the Quest 2, I think.
Yeah, let's see. I know that the Quest 2 is lighter than the Quest 3. Let's check out the Quest.
Well, you're looking at that, Amira. Yeah. I think without any doubt, young learners, definitely the 3S. I don't think there's any reason that they would need the 3, but just know that Meta officially recommends 13 and up. I think I need to say that on this call, just to keep us on the right side of the.
Yep.
Yeah. For those of us who already have a dozen Quest 2 headsets and won't be able to purchase new replacements, how can we keep using the 2s and we slowly invest? Hey, this is what you should know, Amanda. I can't speak for other software creators, but what Danny and Sam and Theo and Tyler and the rest of our team are building for the Quest 2 on VXR Labs is better than anything that's ever been available in education before. Whether it's global field trips or really advanced chemistry and CSI labs, all available in the 2. We are not abandoning full virtual reality. So, and you know, you can download the VXR Labs for free, the trial version, which will always be free. It's not like it runs out in a week or 2 weeks. But you know, obviously, if you want the full VXR Labs, and there's a small monthly fee, which is really small.
Just one thing to add to that, Steve, is that while the Quest 3S has replaced the Quest 2 in market, Meta will still continue to support, from a software security standpoint, that device well into 2 years from the end of sale date. So we'll continue to be supporting that device. And so there's while we would love for you to eventually refresh your fleet and leverage mixed reality into the classroom, there's nothing that's going to stop you today with your Quest 2s.
And we at Victory XR are also fully committed to continuing to support the Quest 2, even with our new experiences coming out. We always benchmark to make sure that things work on the Quest 2, because we're not going to, for folks who already jumped on with us with the Quest 2, we are not abandoning them. We are going to continue to support them.
From a business perspective, there are millions of Quest 2s in the marketplace. That's our customer. So, as a hearing aid user, I hope the thickness of the Orion arms will decrease. Yes. I can't speak for Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm confident that miniaturization will continue to make it a better product. Let's go to Adam Huddleston. Our university IT set me up a service account with 30 aliases. Each of those aliases can be a separate Meta account so that I can have 30 headsets being used in class. You might be answering somebody, Adam. But you know what? A lot of us had a big problem with the whole alias issue. Danny, would you first address how that has been resolved? I know you've helped dozens and dozens of schools with this issue.
Yeah. So we have there's the official Meta solution, which is to use their Quest for Business platform, which allows you to use a browser-based tool, which allows you to manage the content on the headsets and allows you to manage all the headsets through a single interface. And the headsets don't even need to have a Meta account associated with them. They're managed by Quest for Business. There's also, but if you're not going to use Quest for Business, which is a great platform, you can, each individual headset needs to have a separate Meta account. You can't have a whole fleet of headsets with a single Meta account, because then trying to play the same software at the same time, you're going to run into problems. So the solution we've come up with is by using randomly generated dummy emails to create Meta accounts and then associating those with the headsets.
Hey, Danny,
yes.
You should have told Carlos to plug his ears when you said that.
Well, that's why I started with Quest for Business, because like Quest for Business is way easier and allows you to do way more, like keeping headsets to not be able to access the store without authorization, things like that. So so if you're looking for that ease and additional security and headset management, you want Quest for Business.
And let me just jump in here. Even though Meta hasn't made an official announcement, I fully expect to see some version of Quest for Education in 2025, hopefully in Q1 of 2025. And so if that does come out, then we will hold a separate webinar on the reach and features of that. So we don't have much time left, so I just want to, hey, Carlos, talk a little bit of, Jason's asking, does Meta have discount programs on VR products for nonprofit organizations? And I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you give it.
Great question. So we do have some nonprofit beta programs that we've been testing. We are working on expanding those programs in the near future. But there is a way for you to get nonprofit pricing today. I would route that question back through the Victory XR team, flag it with them, and then we can work on the one-off request.
Got it. Thank you. We have a question about Peru and one about Nigeria. Carlos, can you comment at all about the global availability of Quest products?
I can, yes. So today we are officially available and supporting 21 countries globally. We understand that list of countries does not necessarily fulfill the needs of those in certain areas that we're seeing demand and interest for, but we're constantly looking at how to continue to grow and expand our available country list. So for those that are on the call and are not in one of those supported countries, we sincerely, hate that that's the case. We are looking at how to continue to expand and make our products available. But it is, something that we're constantly evaluating, and we should be looking at adding new countries in 2025. Probably not the ones that you've mentioned, Steve, but just know that there is a strong interest to continue expanding as we make this more available throughout the world.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit. Sorry. I'm just going to share this with you real quick. Let's talk about trialing these at a university or in a classroom. So Victory XR does have a loaner program. Not everybody will qualify for this, but if it's a serious request, then we will front the money to ship it and walk you through a test. But the challenge with this is some people do not return our headsets on our loaner program, and it's also expensive to ship it out and back many times per week. So just reach out to us. We'll connect you with one of our representatives, and if you qualify, we'll ship you a loaner headset to give it a try. I'm also going to put, if you want to know what the cost is of the content plus a headset, you can go to the link that I put in there. So we're pretty much out of time here. I'm just going to real quick scan the questions, see if we can answer any real quick in the last minute. We do, Julie Swift, we do customize content for different curricula. Tyler Goodman leads our translation effort. We think a lot of this is going to be done by AI. Our AI avatars currently speak almost 100 languages. So, and you can get the MetaQuest headsets in India, Rajiv. That's a country that, unless I'm mistaken, they've been available. Is there a learning curve for the 3 compared to the 2? It's basically the same. There's a few more features that have at the margins some new learning, but not much there. Amanda, you're lucky to have 4 Quest 3Ss. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, we want to work with you on that to the extent that you can. How does a company become a Meta device reseller? If you reach out to us, we'll pass you on to the people at Meta who run that program, and you may qualify for that. I know they don't take everybody that comes to them, but you may qualify. Quest for Business is available right now. And where do they go, Carlos, if they want to review Quest for Business?
Yeah, they can go to forwork.meta.com, and there you'll see under products the Quest for Business product. We do offer a free 30-day trial subscription if you sign up. And then this is also available through Victory XR, as well as all of the national resellers.
Thank you, Carlos. Amanda, we are all hoping Quest for Education will be reasonably priced. We'll wait and see. that hopefully.
Steve, I
it'll be-
wanted to, while you comb through the questions, I wanted to also mention the value of our platform, right? And so we are building a platform that is becoming an ecosystem to many products, right? We obviously work with great partners like yourself, but we also have a partnership with Logitech. And I know that recently I introduced you to Vadim, and you guys should be receiving the new Logitech MX Inc. here shortly. And I think that from for an education perspective, hey, there we go. Danny has one already. And so what's really unique about this is the input. We've been writing for several thousand years now, and being able to do something that you're natively capable of doing in VR is great. And it's also great, not only for teachers, but for students who are doing creative processes. We're seeing companies like Nike and Ford start to use this as instruments to build their next products. And so I think that introducing this into the classroom will be just a natural fit.
Danny has already built a demo for Logitech so that they could show it to CDW.
Yep.
So yeah, and Danny, you were generally impressed with it.
Yeah, the tracking is great. It feels great to use. The pressure sensitive tip is a lot of fun. And I was able to, in a matter of days, get the system working with VXR Labs' existing 3D pen tool, which so you pick it up and it automatically detects it, and then you just like draw or scribble something, and then pick your controller back up, and then you get your hands back. So it's like super dynamic and versatile there. So it's going to be a great little peripheral, and VXR Labs will be able to support it here. Not in this next update, but probably in the next update.
So maybe by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, end of the year, I'd say so.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, just talking about the value of our platform and ecosystem, I think is super important, and I think you guys are already on it. So thanks for doing that, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, I love new toys.
All right. We've held people over our time, so I appreciate your patience, and feel, if you haven't yet, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a great place to be able to reach out to me personally. Steve@victoryxr.com is my email. I try to be responsive, and just go ahead and let's continue to make big things happen in the world of immersive learning. To our guests, Carlos, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Danny, as always, you never let us down. And for everybody who gave us 50 minutes of their time, you are appreciated as well. So thanks so much, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.